Welcome back to the Big Orange Table. He's Gabe, I'm Dan, and we just saw the University of Tennessee pretty much put a whooping on ETSU this weekend. Gabe, what'd you think about that?
Yeah, the most points scored in a single game in the modern era for Tennessee football. So that there's something to be there's something to be happy about, and there's still stuff to complain about. So
Yeah.
I guess we can feel kind of lucky in that regard. But a good game overall. I mean, I kind of understand why people don't necessarily love these games because
Yeah.
it's fun seeing your team run up the score. It is, I think, a little bit easier this year because there's a lot to learn about this team still, and so we got to see a lot of guys, potentially put their product on the field that we haven't exactly seen yet. So that was cool. But other than that, I mean, definitely by the second quarter, into the second quarter, start of the third quarter, you're going, oh, okay, like
Yeah.
that let's it's they tend sometimes they can drag on a little bit. Obviously, it probably helps that who we got coming in the building next Saturday, but yeah, it was a great game, whole lot of fun. The whole team balled out. Couple of things to clean up, obviously, before Georgia comes to town, but looked really good. Looked really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I think this was the game we expected. I know on the last week we discussed, we expected this, didn't exactly know how this was going to go. Would ETSU give us a little bit of that in-state trouble? Sometimes you come across, a team with a little more fight than you might anticipate. It's not what we saw Saturday. ETSU was not a bad team. I mean, they're just playing a little bit out of their league as we expected.
Right.
But again, looking at the big numbers here, 72-17, like you said, Tennessee balled out. Big numbers, 717 total yards. I mean, it's just big. Tennessee looked unstoppable through this game, and they basically were. So yeah, like I said, breaking it down, 717 for Tennessee. ETSU had 216 yards. I mean, they had some plays. I mean, they definitely had a few big yardage plays. Had some moments. That's going to happen in a game, and again, you've got to wonder, kind of looking at the rotation, looking at the staff, when did some of those plays happen? How were we already pretty significantly up at that time? But again, just a dominant performance, and I find myself, I still don't know. You and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. How I feel about this Tennessee team. I'm excited. I mean, I'm yeehaw. This is awesome. But we weren't really tested at all against Syracuse. Maybe a little more than we were here, but we definitely weren't tested against ETSU. And so, going into week 3, do you feel any more confident in how you feel about this team as a whole?
Well, my instinct initially was to get really hyped up about it
Yeah.
because this team, I mean, it passes the eye test in a way that even in the big moments last year, or in the two first games of the season last year, NC State and I
Mm-hmm.
guess it was Chattanooga we played. They passed the eye test in a way that not even those teams, or that team, did against those teams.
Yeah.
Um, but because it is true that last year that team that played NC State, scored 50 something on NC State and then scored 69 on Chattanooga, looked like a completely different team once we
Yeah.
got into conference play. And obviously
Right.
that has to do with the level of competition
Mm-hmm.
growing and things of that nature. But I'm hesitant, to really, fully. I mean, I'm on the ship either way. I'm going
Yeah.
down with the ship if it goes down, but I'm hesitant to
Yeah.
really say that I'm, changing my record to 11-1,
Sure.
or expect us to beat Georgia next week. Even though, I mean, I see now, we were curious. We knew that Tennessee would probably have the talent to be able to maybe go toe to toe with Georgia for
Mm-hmm.
a little bit, or give it a shot. But certainly now I see the blueprint. I
Yeah.
see how it is going to happen if it
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we can talk about, later in the week or a little bit later. But
Sure.
in this game, here's something that I saw. Again, we talked about PFF grades after the
Mm-hmm.
Syracuse game. That was the highest offensive grade for Tennessee in a single game since 2016.
Yeah.
This that was an 85. I think it was an 86.1 or an
Right.
85.1. Their offensive grade from yesterday was a 93,
Right.
the highest single game
Mm-hmm.
grade by a UT offense on record.
Yeah.
And keep in
Yeah.
mind, that takes into account games like the 69-3 win over
Mm-hmm.
Chattanooga last year.
Mm-hmm.
That takes into account these games that we've seen before from other teams. So there is clearly, our eyes are not lying to us.
Right.
There is clearly something intangible
Yeah.
with this offense that is different. Is
Yeah.
is somehow different even from the 22 team,
Mm-hmm.
seemingly. So here, let me read through some more of these because this is pretty incredible. 93, highest single game grade by UT offense on record. 90.3 pass block grade, highest single game by UT offense since 2015. Joey Aguilar had a 94.2 rating, the highest grade for a QB on record in a single game at UT. Our receiving grade was 78.7, the highest single game grade by a UT offense since 2019. And then defensively, 83, which would have been our third best offensive performance last year.
Mm-hmm.
81.4 run defense, highest since week 4 last year at
Mm-hmm.
OU. A 90 pass rush grade, highest since week 3 last year versus Kent State. And a 77.6 coverage grade, which would have been our fifth best game last year. Still,
Yeah.
but of course, Jermon McCoy and Ricky Gibson
Right.
out of that secondary. So
Mm-hmm.
this team, but I mean, look, transitive property is not a thing in college football. We look at Syracuse barely winning against UConn, and we say, oh, that maybe doesn't mean great things,
Mm-hmm.
but also Georgia didn't put up a whole lot of points up on Austin P,
Right.
but we still can't say, oh, that means they're not going to be a threat to us offensively.
Mm-hmm.
However, when it comes to things like PFF grades and things that are based on fixed, you know, aspects of fundamentals and form and X's and O's and
Mm-hmm.
the really fundamental aspects of the game of football, there's something really encouraging there about this team and what they
Yeah.
could do if they're putting up numbers like this. And we're seeing the results of that on the field as well. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, offensively, I feel like there were obviously we missed on a couple of drives. We ended up kicking, I think, was it 3 field goals in this game? So, I don't know. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
But they look great.
Well, they do, and what's encouraging to me, high graded performances, and yet, right, and yet there's still room for improvement. You look at a game like this, hard to complain much, but like we talked last week, I think we're kind of afforded this opportunity. It's kind of neat when you perform well and yet you still find things that you're like, look, we've got to do this better. We've got to do this better. So it's not like, look, they played a high school level team and they went out there and just were perfection. They were perfection, and that's why you can, translates to the grading and things like that. We saw things that we need to do better, and we know we can do better. So to me, it's encouraging. It's not. I still don't think you've seen the best Tennessee. I mean, again, our competition has not been stellar, but we still have room to grow. And for me, that's super exciting, and I think builds momentum, hopefully confidence and momentum going into one of the biggest weeks of the season, right? So
Right.
I think too, in years past, or you look at, leading, nation leading teams through the years, it's easy to have that one or two, just star, player that's carrying a lot of the weight. I'm super encouraged by just how many people helped carry us to that win, not only in week 1, but especially against ETSU. We really spread the wealth around, both on offense and defense. And to me, again, super encouraging.
Right. Well, let's go over some of the position groups here, because
Yeah.
I think there's some individuals we can go over offensively.
Absolutely. Where do you want to start?
So we'll start with the quarterbacks. Joey Aguilar, 23 of 31 for 288, 2 touchdowns. He also, let's see, he did not have any rushing attempts in this game. So a QBR of 74.4, which is really good. He looked, I mean, if I'm honest, he looked really good. I mean, he looked like a game manager, gunslinger. I mean, he looked like the quarterback that we thought we were getting, except probably better. It's a play that I point at is not the big deep ball, but that first touchdown pass to Chris Brazel. There was something I noticed that was really interesting. So he starts left, and he's looking left, and he comes back to where Brazel is, and he sees that he's about to come open.
Yep.
Now he could have just floated that ball up, said he's going to turn around and see the ball in the air, but he started to do it, and he's like, okay, I'm just going to let him get a little bit deeper, because he scanned where the DB were, saw that even if he waited, they weren't going to be able to get to him. Made that split-second decision and just let Chris get a little bit further down the field and turn his head, so that Joey didn't have to do anything fancy, just on a rope to the corner of the end zone. Easy touchdown. Obviously, you're probably not going to be given a lot of those against better teams, especially like a Georgia is probably not going to have a coverage bust like that. But it's not the play as much as it is the thinking of Joey Aguilar that I was able to see in that moment. His processing of the game is excellent. It is simply excellent.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, and on that play specifically, like you said, it's one of those situations that you're probably going to score there. Like you said, throw that ball up a little earlier, a little more air under it. He's probably going to come down with that ball, but it would have maybe been a little closer of a contested catch, even though that was kind of a little blown, situation there with that coverage. It would be easy to have put air into that ball, like you're saying, and at least give those DBs a chance to catch up and make it a little closer. But to your point, it was the execution of that very play. Like you said, it was the minutia that it would be easy to miss. And you're right. That was an excellent play, and you got to give him props for that. With what in turn I believe would have yielded a higher percentage throw and catch.
And then of course the big huge touchdown pass to Mike Matthews. Yeah. What an incredible play, by the way. That was Aaron Rodgers-esque.
Yeah,
I mean, right. You can literally imagine Aaron Rodgers in his play. He does that probably a couple times a game. Roll out, directing traffic, just launch it.
Yeah, that off-ball hand. Send it. Actually, giving a little. Yeah, that obviously. Again, like you said, that's a great example. You see that so much with Aaron Rodgers, but that's when you're unscripted at that point. You're commanding the field. You literally are saying, "Move, head up the field." And I got to tell you, I watched that play. I've watched it a lot of times. And during the game, it's kind of like, whoa, I'm not sure who was throwing it to there. Oh, he got lucky, kind of got lucky. I don't know. The more I watched that play, I think he knew exactly where he was throwing it. Now, I realize you had another receiver and another defensive back in pretty good proximity there. But if you take those people off the field or out of the play, I think he knew exactly where he was throwing it. And I actually don't even see that ball as being, I mean, again, could he have gotten a little more on it? Maybe. But I don't really see that throw as that risky of a throw. I think he saw what he saw, and I think he put it in a perfect place for Matthews to go up and get it. So.
Well, there were two defensive backs, and the end zone was behind them. So,
right.
If it gets picked off, it's either getting picked off in the end zone or at the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's throwing, it's not like there's two high safeties that are sitting there back on
exactly.
out of bounds. So it's like So I think again he understood the game, understood where
Mm-hmm.
he was at, and I saw Josh Heupel talking to him afterwards. He may have
Right.
been saying like, "Oh, I didn't love that,"
Yep.
but I also I know Josh Heupel loves it. I know he
Yeah,
does
exactly.
because
Yep.
Josh Heupel was a similar type of player, just gunsling. I mean,
Right.
Josh Heupel was not like this like. He was that kind of scrappy kind of player. So I
Mm-hmm.
think he I know he appreciates that, but he's probably going like, maybe I don't know. Because and again, against SEC competition, you have a defensive back that's probably keeping up with Mike Matthews, but I don't think
Right.
I saw people say like, "Oh, that's never going to happen in an SEC game." It can and it
Yeah.
will and it does
Yeah.
every week in SEC competition. You know what I mean? It's just I think that's a silly excuse for trying to make people not like play the game of football in
Mm-hmm.
a fun or what some would call disorderly manner. It's like that is ball right there. Like that's
Yep.
ball.
I agree.
And the other aspect of that play is, you know, last week I sat here and talked about the play in the Syracuse game where Joey threw it over the middle to Chris Brazzell. It was the
Mm-hmm.
play that drew the pass interference.
Right.
Mikey, almost the exact same thing. Mike
Uh-huh.
is streaking up behind it. He's tracking the ball, and it lands in front of Chris
Yeah.
Brazzell. And Mikey pulls up. He could have caught
Yep.
that ball if he would have been in dead stride if he caught that
Mm-hmm.
ball like right here. It would have been
Mm-hmm.
touchdown. He didn't do it. I said, Mikey, go make a play, Mikey. Go
Right.
make a play.
Right.
He did exactly that. I think he had
Yeah.
a little bit
Absolutely.
less of a run to get to the ball,
Right.
but he did that. He didn't say, well, this guy's down there, so I'm just gonna kind of like maybe not fully. He was like, no, I'm catching this ball, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what he did. Those are the plays that we would see in sort of like that 2016 era Josh Dobbs offense
Mm-hmm.
that was so amazing. It made that
Yeah.
team incredible because they were able to go off the script. And the 2022 team, they didn't go off. I don't remember them going off script as much as they were just excellent at executing the script. But this 2025 team, I could see doing both because you
Yeah.
got a guy who is capable of executing in Joey Aguilar, executing the game plan, but when
Mm-hmm.
he needs to, being able to make a play, and that's really special in my opinion.
Well, it is, and to jump on that bandwagon there of making a play, I, one of my standout plays, for Joey was I can't remember the exact time of the game, but he's pressured. It looks like he's going down. Looks like he's getting sacked, and he's fighting strong, and he's literally about to go down, and he slings that ball out to his dump guy over there to the right.
Oh, that was
Again,
incredible! Another Aaron
beautiful.
Rodgers-esque play.
Exactly.
He's parallel to the ground and is
Yep.
able to sidearm it out there. I mean, that's incredible.
Well, and it's one of those situations. I do think you see it more in the NFL. You see it in college too, but his awareness to know where his safety valve is, at that moment.
Hmm.
Again, I feel like sometimes you watch the NFL and you see it. These guys, I mean, they're whatever. They almost don't even look. It's like they know, and then they're just like, whoop, and they just dump it out. He knew what was there. He knew it was open. And kudos again to the team. Holding, doing what they need to do for those sorts of contingencies. That's why that man is there. Is for that very purpose. And anyway, that was awesome for me. That honestly, in my notes, that's one of the things I've got is probably my biggest highlight. Is I love how he's scrambling. He's not having to do it a ton. Our line is doing well, but it's not wild. It's not. It doesn't feel like an emergency. He's using it as a tool in his tool
Right.
belt, and right now he's winning with it. So I love it. I love it.
And despite this being an RPO based offense,
Mm-hmm.
it feels pro style at times,
Mm-hmm.
simply because of how it feels in these first two games.
Yeah.
Like plays can be made that maybe weren't there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. That is hopefully if we can just hold up talent wise, which there's no. I mean, you talk about blue chip ratios.
Sure.
That doesn't determine what's going to happen on the field.
Mm-hmm.
We're as good as anybody. We're at least
Right.
top 15, if not top 10.
Mm-hmm.
We're as good as almost anybody. Obviously, we're not at the same level as Ohio State or Texas or Georgia, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But we can hang with those guys if we just make those plays. If we continue to see those plays, just let the guys play ball, and we're going to see some really incredible stuff. And again, our preseason prediction of, hey, at the very least, this team's going to be fun to watch is
Mm-hmm.
very true so far.
100%, man. And again, as we continue to develop identity, throughout this year. We'll see just maybe how well we can hang with those guys, and maybe that starts this coming week, right? We get a real gauge on that, hopefully. But I see it right now as all up, right? All positive from here. What can we do? Where can we go? Again, we've got a real test coming up, but yeah, 100%. Super excited. Super excited. Any other notes on Joey before we move on to our next quarterback?
No, I believe that's it. So we can talk about the backups, Jake and George. Yeah. Jake came in the third quarter. The stat line is pretty solid. 9 of 14 for 118. 2 touchdowns and 89 QBR, which is really good. I thought the eye test wise, he didn't look as good as the stat line showed. Right. I mean, again, he's out. You're out there with your second team. I think ETSU was still playing there. Maybe some second teamers, but mostly first team still. And his guys went out there and made plays. Like I saw a lot of really good effort from the skill players. Talk about Justin Baker coming in and before DeJuan Morris, he did really well at running back. We'll get to that, but I thought Jake looked, obviously, again, we're talking about a guy who's played like 10 snaps in his career up until this point. Okay, but I thought that he looked timid. His first throw was almost a pick six.
I'm not sure what happened there.
I'm not either. So he got in the flow a little bit, but I thought he looked a little timid. I thought he was playing a little sped up, almost like you would almost see like with Nico and stuff. Like I thought he was maybe playing a little. I don't think he was seeing the field perfectly. But again, he's a redshirt freshman that's played 10 snaps. So before this, ended up with a great stat line, a great look, and he obviously those reps are going to be invaluable for the future of his career.
Yeah, and I think that probably sums it up as good as it could be. Right? Is that look, those reps are clearly building confidence, trying to build a rhythm. I don't know what that looks and feels like. If you're a number 2 guy and you're coming in, it's not quite the same as starting the game and working to build your reps and build your comfort level, and it's just not quite the same. It's almost like the stage has been set. We're running all over these guys, and I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of a different kind of pressure.
Right.
Not sure what happened on that first throw. That was, you could hardly throw a better ball to pick off than that ball. But again, like you said, the stats ended up looking okay. There was a very nice catch on that deep ball in the end zone. It was underthrown again. Just not really sure. Whether it's you chalk that stuff up to nerves or just game time snaps. But overall, I mean, again, we've been in worse shape, frankly, with our starting quarterbacks through the years at times. So, all told, not a bad showing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And talking about making plays, again, we'll get to it. But Chris Bradley, that was a play right there.
Right.
But that's sort of how I would summarize how Jake looked. He just looked shaky in that game. I would not want him coming in against Georgia. That would be a nightmare for me. He just looked shaky. George. Now look, 6 of 7, only attempted 7 passes, 52 yards. No touchdowns or anything like that. Man, George just looked confident. Look, he's out there with the second/third team. Okay, ETSU is probably playing some of their second teamers because at this point it's like 60 plus to 10 or 17 or whatever. But there was just a look to the way he played that was just different. I peered into the future for a moment because. There was one play that I think of. First of all, he just looked really poised. He didn't look sped up like Jake did. Again, he's playing ETSU's second teamers or whatever. So like, take this with a big grain of salt. But there was one play where he gets pressure off the right side. He steps up into the pocket, rolls out to the right, and finds his target on the sideline with a dart. Right. That was a really nice play. He went in there and played with a bit of an it factor, in my opinion.
Do you think it's easier to do that, being the third guy of the day, or do you think it's just more kind of how he showed up? Does that make
I,
sense?
I think that's just how he showed up. I
Yeah.
think that's. I mean, again, when you get out on the field, these guys have been playing ball half their
Hmm.
lives or more.
Sure.
They,
Sure.
they have a character that shows when they
Yeah.
get out on the field that is
Yeah.
different from just, it's not different from system to system.
Right.
They are the type like we see with Nico. Nico's
Hmm.
the same. I can look at Nico play at UCLA and say that's the
Yeah.
same kid I watched at
Yeah.
in high school, 3 years ago.
Hmm.
So, I think these guys all have a character on the field, and I think Jake is the type of guy who, he seems to be the type of guy who, once he just calms down, he'll be really good at running the system.
Hmm.
But then you got like Joey. Every time he steps out on the field, it's like this guy's got ice in his veins. Like
Yeah. It's smooth.
the game is just slow. He's smooth. The
Yeah.
game just is slow for him.
Yeah.
And George, I think is gonna be similar. I mean,
Yeah.
George, you could see how skinny he is. Golly, he's skinny. Very it's sort of a Nico type of frame.
I
He
know.
almost he reminds me of Brock Osweiler, the way he's
Mm.
built. Like he's
Yeah.
just so long. Brock
Yeah.
Osweiler is that same way where it literally looks like he's towering over every other player on the field because
Right.
he is.
Right.
But man, he's gonna need to gain some weight, but he will. He
Yeah.
will. But man, I think again, 7 pass attempts, 6 completions,
Right.
but I just saw a little something there, that I really liked. So he did really
So
well.
let's just say, let's skip over Georgia for a second. You get into UAB. Um, let's say similar game, maybe not quite in the scale. You're Josh Heupel. Get into the second half, you're going to go to number 2. Any chance in the world you flip that script just out of principle for just game time kind of concepts? Any chance you put Georgia in second?
No, that's not the way Heupel does it.
You don't think
Heupel
so?
says absolutely not.
Yeah.
Heupel does not. He will not mess with what is the prescribed order.
You think
He
there's
will
too?
not do
Yeah.
that.
You think there's too many
He doesn't want
implications
to.
in that? Yeah.
Right? Yeah. He doesn't need to do anything that anybody's going to try and read into. He knows
Yeah. Yeah.
how
I
the
get that.
players are. He knows how the players'
Yeah.
parents are, and he knows how the fans are as well.
Sure. Yeah.
You
Oh my
know,
God,
so
what's happening? Yeah.
Jake is number 2.
Yeah.
The only way Jake is not number 2 this season is if Joey gets hurt. Jake
Yeah.
comes in and literally cannot do anything. But
Yeah.
even
Just wets the
still,
bed.
I mean, how often did we see? How often have we seen backups get put in the past few years? The only
Hmm.
one we've seen the entire time Heupel's been here is when Hendon Hooker replaced Joe Milton, but that was
Hmm.
because Joe got hurt, and
That's
then
right.
Hendon just took off with the
Yeah.
offense.
Yeah. You
He
just
didn't.
couldn't
He
take him.
didn't.
Yeah. Couldn't take
Joe
him out.
didn't get benched,
Right.
so um, no, I don't believe so. We'll see George again,
Yeah.
but we won't see him come in directly out unless Jake
Yeah.
gets hurt in practice or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Those
I was just
guys get
curious.
limited,
Again, I
so.
could. Yeah, I could just see it both ways. I know there's so much psychology, into this gameplay. But no, I agree with you. I think you're right. I think that Heupel would not want to crack that door of speculation and create another place where, Lord knows, Vol Twitter would create some drama, wouldn't they? So,
And don't get me wrong, I believe in my heart
yeah.
that next season this is
Hmm.
George McIntyre's team.
Right.
I just do. I mean, there is a big talent. There is a talent gap between
Yeah.
Jake and George, and I know, and Josh Heupel, he values experience a lot.
Hmm.
But I think the talent gap. I don't think Jake is gonna, especially with Faison coming in. If Faison
Right.
Brandon wasn't coming in, I think Jake maybe stays on the team,
Hmm.
maybe. But
Right.
with Faison coming in, as soon as George wins
Yeah.
that job, he's gone.
No, I think you're right. I think you're
So,
right.
but of course we don't. It's going to be interesting to see because the NCAA proposed doing one single portal window in January. So
Hmm.
that means that before a starting quarterback is really even determined,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
they'd already have to have their decisions made because there wouldn't be one in April. Now I doubt the teams are going to be. The teams might like that. I don't know. I honestly don't know how they feel about it because they've kind of
Yeah.
just been forced to deal with whatever has been the status quo.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just I'm preparing myself now for Jay to transfer, and maybe he really takes another step. You know,
Mm,
there's obviously I don't see him at practice. I don't see
I
what he
know.
shows on practice
Yeah.
in practice. But
Yeah.
it sort of also felt like even preseason this season,
Mm-hmm.
like Jake was really only given even second string maybe because
Mm-hmm.
he's the second most senior guy. I mean, we saw
Yeah.
it to me. It looked like once Jake came in I was like, okay, it really wasn't ever a competition, was it, with Joey? I mean, it just because they tried to portray it as like some big competition, and there were theories about is that to appease the players? How do you really pretend? How do you really convince them of
Sure.
that?
Sure.
But after watching Joey through 2 games
Yeah.
and seeing and it kind of feels like maybe there wasn't really ever a true competition,
Hard to
especially
imagine.
maybe there was, and
Yeah.
Joey just has kicked it into another gear here. But
Yeah. It's hard to
so
imagine
anyway,
watching him play, though. That's for sure. That's for sure.
all right, let's
So,
move on to the running backs.
yeah, I was going to say
Unless
next
you
group.
unless you had something to add.
No, no, that's no next group. Let's talk running backs by committee. I mean, my goodness gracious, a bigger
Well,
committee to discuss than we thought we would be discussing. I think.
one of my takeaways from this game was that our running back room is legitimately
Yeah,
five deep.
yeah, it's right.
Not like there's five scholarship players,
Nope,
even though there are five
five
there
capable.
it's
Yeah,
legitimately five deep. You
yeah,
know, like these guys could come in and contribute in any scenario at any point this season,
yep.
and you likely would not see a massive drop off
Mm-hmm.
in production. Um, so I, before, like I said, before we started the season, I sort of discussed what running backs I thought, how the hierarchy was going to work, and we didn't really
Mm-hmm.
know what Star Thomas was going to look like. I thought Peyton Lewis was going to end up being RB1. I thought he was
Mm-hmm.
going to end up being the most talented guy of the group and the
Mm-hmm.
most just ready to go. He did not look very good in this game. He was not seeing the field very well. He just didn't pick the right holes. Even on
Mm-hmm.
the couple of like the kick returns he had,
Right.
I was like, the first kick return was pitiful. It's
Mm. Yeah, it
ETSU,
was
and you can
bad.
only get it
Yeah,
out to your 15-yard line.
yeah.
So I was like, okay, either so there's something wrong with him, or he's just starting to lose the battle a little bit. But there
Mm-hmm.
to me there was something off about him. Whether it was just a bad day or he was
Mm-hmm.
dealing with something physically, mentally, I don't know.
Sure.
But he was off. He was not seeing
Yeah.
the field right, and it shows in the stats. He's
Mm-hmm.
5 out of 5 scholarship guys. He
Mm-hmm.
has the he had 8 carries for 19 yards.
Yeah.
He did have a
Yeah.
touchdown, obviously, but that was in a goal to go
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Yeah.
A long of 7, 2.4 yards a carry. He just did not look great.
Yeah, no doubt, and it is weird though when you do have such a running back by committee. I mean, I can't think of a recent era where I've seen on Tennessee or beyond five guys that you could say legitimately could support the offense in the way that these five guys can, and so I'm a little hesitant to say too much, about Lewis's day again, kind of hard to say. I mean, what if he was, your top two guys, you're running two guys. How does he shake it? Right? Does he shake it off and have a much better day? Right? But when you've got five guys that end up touching the ball, having a little bit of time. I mean, again, he had enough carries to do something, but it's just hard to say. Again, I wonder if we are again kind of being afforded the luxury of criticism here because in a positive way we had so many guys who had a good showing yesterday. I don't know if
Well,
that makes
yeah, but
sense.
but it's not just the stat line. It was on a
Mm-hmm.
play-by-play basis.
Sure.
Watching him going, dude, where are you going right now?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
It seemed like he didn't
Yeah.
trust his blockers. He didn't hit the hole when it
Mm-hmm.
was there. He
Yeah.
he wasn't really able to run through tackles or break
Right.
tackles, or he just looked kind of slow. And I know that's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily a player that he is. So again, I don't know exactly. I don't know if he was dealing with something or
Sure.
what. But at the end of the day, he's still one of the top 3 guys.
Yeah.
But certainly, I mean, when you've got I mean, like I said, we're 5 deep, but
Mm-hmm.
they're rotating 3. They've
Mm-hmm.
shown that they're going to rotate those 3 guys all
Yep.
season long, most
Yep.
likely, unless somebody potentially named Star Thomas decides to become a Doak Walker candidate.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, and gosh, I mean Bishop, and that his first, or the first drive of the game. I mean, he had a long, hard run. I mean, that was a beautiful thing to see, running through contact. Just keeping those legs moving, and just a beautiful run there. I don't remember the exact yards. It was a nice long run there on that first drive. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing to see.
Deshaun Bishop is kind of like the Jabari Small of this trio.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I think he's better than Jabari Small. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the way he can run through tackles, like Jabari
Yeah.
Small was great at hitting a hole and then putting like a couple of really nice open field moves on people.
Mm-hmm.
Deshaun Bishop can go anywhere and do and
Yep.
break 3 tackles and break off a 45-yarder. He
Mm-hmm.
is a really good running back. Only 3 carries in this game. They
Right.
said, all right, you're. I don't know. Maybe he took a hit and they were like, all right, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know what it was. I don't know
Sure.
exactly when he wasn't on the field anymore. But 3 carries, 68 yards, of
Yeah.
course, with that 50-yarder that he broke off
Yeah. Yeah.
basically
It's beautiful.
immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he looked really good. A couple of drops. He doesn't
Mm.
wear the gloves. You
Yeah.
got to wonder
Right.
if that has something to do with it.
Sure.
If it starts to become a superstition, like a psychology thing about the gloves, just wear the
Right.
gloves. Just wear
Yeah.
the
I know.
gloves.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
not gonna think you're out there to look cool or show off. Like, just
Yeah. Let's
if
not
you're not
let
gonna
this be
catch
a pride thing.
yeah, if you're not gonna catch the football, wear the gloves. Okay, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
But he, not much to really say about him, and we know who he is.
Yeah.
He busted off that big old run and looked good doing it. Then of course we got Star Thomas.
Yeah.
Before we get to our 2 young guys, I want to talk about Star Thomas. I mean, a hat trick, 3 touchdowns,
Yeah.
12
That's not
carries
bad.
for 69 yards, 6
Right.
yards a carry.
Yeah.
This guy looks. Did you see what I said last week about how he's like the sort of Alvin Kamara of this group?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, for me, to me, it's how he hits the hole. Right. I love how he approaches the run, man. He's
So fast.
so quick through that line, and I mean, and it's going to open up that second level. I don't know what it is. These guys I know sometimes it's the patience, which we also saw out of several guys, letting those blocks kind of
Right.
materialize. Sometimes the patience, and it'll cut here, then you hit that hole and break it. But man, when you've got a guy who can get his hands on the ball and be standing in linebacker territory in just a split second, it's a beautiful thing. So I love it.
Well,
Love
and
seeing
again,
him run.
credit to our offensive line for giving our running
100%.
backs these looks. I thought that maybe they weren't moving ETSU off the ball as much as they should
Mm,
have for it being ETSU, but the
yeah.
holes were still there. If they can do that against, if they can do that against Georgia, they'll do it against anybody. So I'm excited to see how they perform there, because if we
Yeah.
can, again, you know, not to get ahead of ourselves here, but if we can run against Georgia, we got 3 fresh backs, 5
Yeah.
fresh backs even, if somebody happens to go down.
Yeah.
Um, you know, run against Georgia. If we can establish the running game against Georgia, we're winning, period. I'm
No,
willing to
I,
say
I
that
I
right
think
now.
you're right. No, I think you're right. And I mean, what's your number? Again, we've talked about it back in the day. I used to listen to, you know, back. Well, I don't want to date myself, but the Philip Fulmer days. It was a big deal if you were over 100 yards. We were likely winning the game. I feel like that doesn't cut it as much. I mean, do you think we got to push 200 yards against Georgia on the ground to really have a dominant performance? Or dominant's not right, but a real shot at winning that game?
185. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
a
yeah,
185 to 200 rushing passing split is means Tennessee won that football game. But we'll see.
yeah.
Once we move into that game, it's gonna be such an interesting one to watch. Crazy matchups all around.
Good stuff.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
think around 185 is where we want to be. Um, Justin Baker, I was surprised when he got in the game before Dewan Morris, but he
Mm-hmm.
looked pretty good. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that he looked like anything super special, just from what we saw, but but I know that he's quick and he looked good. 11
Mm-hmm.
carries for 37 yards.
Right.
So nothing too amazing. Again,
Sure.
he was in that, second team kind of deal. He wasn't being given the best holes, I would say. But one thing I saw
Right.
about him is he hit the hole though. Like he
Right.
trusted his blocks. He didn't sit there in the backfield like, oh, where do I go? Like he was like, okay, this is
Yeah.
where the play is supposed to go, so this is where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that about him. He looked like a guy that, I mean, again, he looks like one of those guys that he's gonna be a dude here in a year or two. So
Yeah,
as long as
for
he
sure.
stays with us, he's gonna be really good.
And I wasn't
So,
tracking, again, exactly what the personnel, the offensive line personnel was during, Morris, and shoot, just lost his name. Who was the one you were just
Justin
talking
Baker.
about? Baker and Morris. But clearly they were in with no doubt some second string and lower, O line as well.
Yep.
And then they're fighting hard and gaining yards, and they look good for sure.
Yeah, the second team O line actually looked really good against the pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had all those. They had the younger guys in there. I think Bennett Warren. I think let's see, Shamu Marov, William Satterwhite. William Satterwhite was in there snapping for a little bit, and then I believe he got sick. I saw him get sick on the broadcast. So
okay,
I don't know. It was probably just a play, an activity thing. Probably not anything too bad. But after that, it was. I'm actually unsure of who the guy is that was at the DeCarrion Moore might be his name. DeCarrion Moore. At center, and he was the center when I think maybe Jake's last drive and then George's play. But they did pretty well, yeah. Dewan Morris, I'm excited about Dewan Morris. He looked incredible. 9 carries, 48 yards, and a touchdown. The touchdown run was something to behold. That is one of those things where I can't remember the first rush touchdown that John Kelly had or Dylan Sampson or Jalen Wright, but that's one of those things where you see the player come in garbage time and they just show you what they got.
Sure.
And you go, ooh, that guy's gonna be special.
Yeah.
With all three of those guys that I just mentioned, Kelly, Wright, and Sampson, there were those moments in those games when they were young guys and they came in and it was just like, oh shoot, like they've got something. The feet on that run were so smooth, man, and he looks the part. He looks. I mean, he is ripped.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about him. I mean, next year, if Deshaun chooses to stay, he'll still be here. If Peyton chooses to stay, he'll still be here. Obviously, Star Thomas, this is his last year.
Yeah.
But I could see Dewan Morris moving up into that second spot even.
Sure.
Depending on portal stuff as well. But Dewan Morris, man, he's going to be special, and we need to do whatever we can to keep him here because he is, I don't know who needs to sign him to NIL or whatever to keep him in Knoxville, but he is going to be special. He's going to be the type of guy where, like, I'm telling you right now, his name is going to be like, he's going to be talked about nationally because he's just going to be that special. So,
well, it's a good problem to have to be talking about so many guys in one position. Are we kind of in the same boat here as we shift to the wide receiver core? I mean, I don't know about you. I felt like we saw some really good play out of a lot of folks yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like we saw Chris Brazzell put together a complete game for maybe the first time ever. He looked like the wide receiver that he's supposed to be. Like this is Chris Brazzell. This was Chris Brazzell. Look, it's against ETSU. This might be his coming out game.
Right.
He has not had a game that I feel like you could call a confidence builder.
Right.
Because especially last year, our offense was so anemic. We had like 2 people catching the ball ever. And Chris Brazzell he wasn't targeted a whole lot, but even when he was, it was overthrown or he had a drop or something like that. He had that one incredible catch in the
Mm-hmm.
Alabama game to put the
Right.
go-ahead touchdown against Alabama.
Yep.
Incredible catch. And I looked at that and I said, that is Chris Brazzle right there.
Yep.
That's Chris Brazzle. And he just hadn't shown that since then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this game, again, last week he had a couple drops. We said,
Sure.
okay, just got to get cleaned up. Man, this was the game for him. That
Yeah,
if
he
he
looked
can
like the
just
guy.
build, if he can build on this momentum, this is his year.
Yep.
People are saying Mike Matthews is going to be the guy this year, and I think Mike Matthews is going to be for sure like guy one A or 1B. But
Mm-hmm.
Chris Brazzle we can't skip over Chris Brazzle.
No.
I get that he's been here, and so he's maybe not as exciting of a prospect as Mike Matthews is, but Chris Brazzle still has something to say about it.
I think it's
I'm
pretty
telling
exciting. I mean, watching him play is pretty darn exciting. I know what you're saying, but man, he feels like the guy right now, And again, Mike may end up being right there with him and could surpass him. But boy, it's hard as a fan right now not to think that Brazel's your guy.
Well, the TD pass he caught from, I believe, was it Jake or Joey? I believe it was Jake. He caught the pass from there. It was right after
Mm-hmm.
that play we touched on earlier, where he came
Mm-hmm.
back to the ball that was underthrown,
Yep.
basically caught it on the goal line, and it was called short.
Yeah.
Incredible effort, and he came down with that ball. Really well
Mm-hmm.
done by Chris Brazzle.
Absolutely.
And then the next play just goes up and mosses a guy. Just
Yep.
puts the hands up, strong hands on the
Mm-hmm.
ball, touchdown.
Absolutely.
I mean, when he got the chance to catch and run it, he looked good. He looked agile. He looked fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Really liked what I saw from him. Again, no glaring errors really
Yeah.
from any of the wide receivers.
No. Yeah, I agree.
So I mean but I was very encouraged by what I saw from Chris Brazzle. He's got to build on that momentum. He is a matchup nightmare. The guy's like 6'4".
Yeah.
We gotta how did we let Dante Thornton's out here catching balls for the Raiders today? Like he's their
Right.
wide receiver one.
Right.
Why didn't we use that guy?
I
He
don't
caught
know.
like 3 touchdowns last year. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, it makes me
Yeah.
upset. But Chris Brazzle has the chance to be that type of guy this year.
Yeah,
And
fully
I
agree.
think Chris Brazzle has some incredible playmaking ability. We just haven't gotten a chance to see it
Yeah.
until the past couple weeks. Again, it's always been flashes, but
Mhm.
yesterday I feel like was the game. He showed people what he came here to do initially, and hopefully he can carry that momentum forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And as you mentioned, Mike Matthews, I think 6 catches, 111 yards, 1 touchdown. Great performance from him. What I liked seeing is I'm trying to think if I saw any drop balls. Did Mike drop any yesterday?
I don't remember any drops
I don't either.
from Mike.
I don't either, but he looked great, and that was kind of the takeaway from week 1. I think there were at least 2 that stick out where 2 drops from Mike, and so again, continue to build confidence, continue to build rhythm, and you've got some real workhorses for sure, even in just those 2 guys. But the room continues to go deeper. We had an opportunity with a game like yesterday to see some younger folks get some quality time as well.
Well, Mike Matthews is. I mean, he is. He's special because he's already just becoming known as Mike to the Tennessee fan base. If you talk about Mike,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So my favorite thing about that one play from Joey is, and this is going to be probably, I hope this becomes a recurring thing, because the meme is going to be, F it, Mike down there somewhere.
Right.
Just
Right.
Joey's just gonna
Yeah,
toss
he's
it
got
down
it.
the field line. He's down there. He'll get
He's
it.
got it. Yeah.
I mean, that is the type of player that Mike Matthews can be, and I'm excited that Joey's the one throwing to him, because I
Yeah.
think that he's going to give him some chances.
Mhm.
And yeah, that play was that big play was really good. But even aside from that, he looked solid. He is good in the open field. I mean, he is fast.
Yeah.
He's a fast guy. So I look forward to seeing him play more. Again, just continuing to coming into his own. I hope we have him for another year after this. I hope he decides, if he has a really breakout year, I'll understand.
Sure.
If he decides he wants to go to the league. But I think this should be the year that he really has his coming out party. And I mean, he has the chance. We've only played 2 games, but he's looking better every week, and he has the
Sure.
chance to improve every week.
Yeah.
That's something that Josh Heupel obviously harps on a lot, is just improve every week. Don't
Hmm.
make the same mistake twice. And frankly, I didn't see any of the guys in this game make a mistake that I saw them make last week
Right.
that I can remember.
Sure.
Obviously, Sam Pendleton made a new mistake by snapping the ball 3 yards to the right, which he almost did.
Yeah.
He had a snap actually down in the red zone
Uh-huh.
that was also right, but Joey was able to
Yeah.
corral it. But
Yeah.
the one that he snapped basically into the opposite end zone was beyond corralling. So he's got to, if he can't make that mistake again, if he makes that
No.
mistake again, I mean, those are game deciding mistakes. So
100%.
I've
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
liked what I've seen from him, but
No, I agree.
cannot do that.
Yeah, and
Cannot,
I don't,
especially with offense.
and I don't know what goes into that. You know what I mean? I know I know obviously these guys, take a lot of snaps, but I don't know what goes into a mistake like that.
Well, it could have been something that ETSU was showing that was causing him
Sure.
to lean a certain way or
Yeah.
think about,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just kind of get disoriented a little bit with
Yeah.
where he was. But you just got to clean those mechanics
Well,
up.
look,
You
man.
cannot start building any unhealthy habits at this point in the
No,
season, right
no.
before you go into SEC play that could potentially cost you.
No, we all get a mulligan, and I think we'll let him have that mulligan against ETSU, right? So
Better
let's
to
go ahead
see
and
it and correct it against ETSU
That's right.
than to see it at some point in the season.
Oh goodness, yeah, like this coming Saturday, that would be rough. I would be.
Mm-hmm.
That's not when you want to have. You don't want to take your mulligan against Georgia. That's for sure. That's for sure.
But so Braylon Staley,
Oh,
he wasn't super loud in this game, but he just did his thing. He just made, he was there when we needed him and
yeah.
did what he had to do, and he looked good. I mean, he's gonna be a major contributor. This is something we haven't seen from Tennessee
Mm-hmm.
since probably 2022. We have not
Mm-hmm.
seen multiple contributors. We
Yep.
just haven't. We had
Yeah.
in
Well,
2021 we had multiple contributors. In 2022 we had multiple
mm-hmm.
contributors. 2023 and on, we've had like maybe a guy that's like, okay, yeah, sure, this is a guy, and that's it. We
We're
have
hopeful,
multiple
right?
contributors, right?
Yeah, I think about, you and I have talked a lot about Brew McCoy and Squirrel White, and man, they've had some fantastic plays and highlights. And Brew is just a dog. You love that guy, but to your point, it felt like week after week, game on game. You're really hoping and needing that guy to do something magic. Oh, Brew needs a day. Squirrel, maybe Squirrel this or that. And I feel like what we're seeing is some consistency, hopefully build up, some dependency. Again, not making mistakes that maybe you've made before, and really having a core of contributors, right? It's not just about that guy. Alabama's got that guy, or Oklahoma's got that guy this year, and oh man,
Mm-hmm.
he's the man. We feel like we're developing a core of contributors, and again, I think that's what it's what it's gonna take. This Saturday, it's what it's gonna take in our bigger games this year, because unfortunately, when you have that guy, if he's got a bad day, and your opposing defense is maybe targeting, double teaming, it's not always that hard to shut down that guy in a given game, right? So,
Absolutely.
super exciting. Yeah, super exciting to see the contribution we're getting.
Absolutely, and even from we got to see our future in the young guys.
Yep. Yep.
Talking, of course, about Rodarius Jackson, Joakim
Yeah.
Dodson, Tommy Winton. Tommy Winton the third. I'm trying to remember, is he a walk-on or is he a scholarship player? Let me see here.
I do not remember.
Let me look, but let me look this up here.
While
But yeah,
you're
those
looking,
guys looked really solid. Go ahead.
yeah, and what you love to see, Rodarius Jackson coming across the middle, took a pass, took a throw that was not on target. It was behind him, and he made a play. It was not a game-changing play. It wasn't a long yardage play. It wasn't a touchdown. But those are the plays that you've got to have, right? In a tough game against a big SEC opponent, you take a ball that's not exactly where it needs to be. I mean, that guy, he reached back and made a tough catch. And that right there, to me, I'm like, those plays, those
How many times have we seen that
have. That's
over
right.
the last few years? How many
Yeah.
how many times have we seen a guy make a tough catch over the last few years? It hasn't happened.
No,
It hasn't happened. I mean, Chris Brassel's had a couple of those moments where he's made a hard catch, and you're like, "That's the guy," and then it just doesn't happen again. And
That's
you're
right.
like, nobody else does it, and it's like, "Whoa, Like that is super. I mean, this guy's a true freshman. So,
Yeah.
by the way, I didn't know this. Tommy Witten, he's a Knoxville native, Knoxville Catholic star, who
Okay.
actually transferred to Tennessee from ETSU as a preferred walk-on.
Okay.
I thought he looked quite like he looked good. He looked like
Mm-hmm.
he didn't look like a guy that was gonna like not he wasn't like a world beater, but he looked
Mm-hmm.
like a guy that was like okay, like he will probably contribute for the next couple of years. Like I could
Yeah.
see him earning a scholarship and being that sort of third guy eventually.
Yeah, that would be
Um,
fantastic. That would be
but
fantastic.
anyway, yeah, Rodarius Jackson looked. I can't wait. I cannot wait to
Mm-hmm.
watch him play.
Yeah.
Travis Smith Jr. He's really exciting. He flashes athleticism on a play. He is gonna be like he Travis Smith on the field. First of all, his name's
Mm-hmm.
Travis Smith Jr. That is just
Right.
a wide receiver name. He
Yeah.
wears
Come on.
number 1. That might
Mm-hmm.
change in the next couple years, but when you look at him on the field, he almost looked like Julio Jones or somebody. Like not quite as big as Julio Jones, but it was like
Right.
this guy looks like an SEC wide receiver. Like
Yeah.
he looks the part. Like Gradarius Jackson is still a little. He's got a little bit of that skinniness to him. Like
Sure.
sort of he
Sure.
looks kind of like a freshman. Travis Smith is scary looking already.
Yeah.
Like he is scary looking. Joakim Dodson came in and
Mm-hmm.
contributed on a long ball. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you got these guys. You got these guys some work, and I think that's going to do. It's going to again do a lot of good things for their future. Actually getting some game time, getting to catch some passes, and then you even got your young tight ends. Desan Brain came in, looked
Yeah.
really good on a
Yeah.
couple of catches, looked solid blocking. Jack Van
So
Dorselayer caught that touchdown pass. He
right.
looked solid. I mean, these you got your pass catchers some work in this game.
Yeah, no doubt. It's bringing up the tight ends. I want to get your thoughts real quick here. How have you felt so far about how we're scheming the tight ends as part of our offensive package? I, frankly, I feel like I'd love to see a little more action with the tight ends. But again, I mean, I cannot complain or criticize the results. But I think we're doing enough for it to be hopefully an effective part. But I just want to get your thoughts. Are you satisfied with what you're seeing from a scheme standpoint with our tight ends so far?
I'm perfectly satisfied from a scheme standpoint.
Okay.
We're Miles Kitselman. He's receiving a lot of quite a few passes.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job in the run game because
Mm-hmm.
I think
Right.
we saw the tight ends quite a lot last year, and that was
Mm-hmm.
cool. But I also feel like it had something to do with the fact that we had no other playmakers anywhere
Right.
else other
I
than that
think it's a
running
good
back.
point. I think it's a good point
Um,
because to your point, if you're relying on releasing that tight end down the middle of the field as a repeated effective part of your game, it might mean you've got gaps and holes somewhere else,
right,
right? The beauty is when you've got a lot of dynamic offense happening, and that's kind of that surprise, right?
right,
You're not counting on it, and sure enough, here's that tight end releasing down a clear open field because of everything else you're also pulling off during
right.
that game. So to your point, I agree with you. Sometimes I really love seeing tight end play, and I think you can get creative. But to your point, when you're having to do it, maybe because you don't have what you need or the production or the capability in your wide receiver room, that's obviously not a good place to be either. So
Right.
valid point. Valid point.
I think we will see. I think the tight ends are going to play a they've already played a major role in
Mm-hmm.
this offense. Um, but yeah, and I think our tight end room is really good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Ethan Davis did something. I can't remember what it was. I don't know if he whiffed on a block or
Mm-hmm.
dropped a pass or something. I can't remember what he did. But he did something, and I was like, come on, man, you're better than that. But I mean, Miles Kitselman is so good. Ethan
Yeah,
Davis is
love that
really
guy.
good, and then your young guys, Hassan Brahim and Jack Van Dorselayer, look really good as well. So, I
Okay.
mean, I think this is the year.
Mm-hmm.
I truly think this is the year
Mm-hmm.
we find that perfect balance on
It
offense.
it
We
feels
don't
like
have.
it.
It feels like we've kind of teetered at
Yeah.
times. 2022.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we've rushed for 2,500 yards in every season since Josh
Mm-hmm.
Allen's been here. So this is always going to be a run first team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just a balance offensively between having playmakers at running back,
Mm-hmm.
having playmakers at wide receiver, having playmakers at tight end, having a line that can block, and then having a quarterback to pull it all together and make things work. that this could, I mean, we're already seeing it in some of the grades.
Yeah.
This could be, we were talking about this could be Tennessee's, I think people coming into the season were saying this could be Tennessee's best defense and worst offense in the Josh Heupel era.
Right.
I think it's starting to look like potentially the best offense in the
Josh
Heupel era.
I think you're right. And again, what I love about it is that it's by committee, hopefully not by committee in the quarterback position. But again, it's not because it's the guy per se. I'm not saying Aguilar's not the guy. Right now, he's my guy. Love that guy. I'm just saying he's not having to shoulder all the weight, right? And again, neither is your one amazing running back or your one or two receivers. You've got depth, right? And if you can build a synergy, if you can build momentum, which we talked about an episode or two ago, that concept of that intangible thing that we just didn't feel like we had last year. There was just you couldn't identify it necessarily, but just that leadership and that synergy, whether it's super vocal, leadership or a quiet leadership, didn't matter. Just didn't feel like it was there. So I agree with you, man. I think this has a real chance to be something special. We don't know what yet. We're going to find out pretty soon. Again, going into this week, just what we're made of right now in the season. I'm scared to death to play this game this early in the season, but we're not the only ones who are stepping up to play hard games early, right? And so Georgia's doing the same thing. If I was Georgia, this is not a Tennessee team that I would be super excited to be playing week 3, if I'm honest. So I got to ask, top 2 or 3 points here, top 2 or 3 standout moments or themes for you against Tennessee and ETSU?
Probably just, I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean,
okay, let me go first then. If you need a minute,
identity. Probably just finding their identity as a team. They haven't. Finding identity, I would say, is a really big one. They need that going into this weekend. Again, running backs. I mean, I don't care if you run the ball 70 times against Georgia. We got the legs to do it. Just let these I know this offensive line loves run blocking. Just let these guys run downhill all day. Let them pancake all day long if they want to. If it works, it works. I'd say those 2 things mainly. And then the last thing I'll say, my final point is the defense. The defense, I think they're going to be stressful to watch at times this year. Look, I get we're missing people, but even still, I think they're going to be stressful to watch even later in the year when we have a couple of these guys back. But I believe they're good enough to give us a chance in every game we play this year. I don't think they're going to. They aren't going to have to win us games like our defense did last season. I think they'll be capable of that, but I also think that they are going to give up some plays that they're going to make some frustrating plays. I think that's just going to be how this defense is. They're really good. They're going to wreak havoc just like they always have under Tim Banks.
Right.
But it's starting to look like we maybe need to measure expectations about how this defense looks and maybe get ready to not enjoy watching Tennessee play defense as much this year as we did last year. But I still think they're going to be good enough to give us a chance in literally every single game we play. So.
No, I fully agree. And to follow up on that, you're right. I think they are good enough, absolutely, to give us a chance in every game. The scary question is there your tough games, but maybe not your top 2 or 3 hardest games on the schedule right now that might be closer because the defense gives up an extra score or 2 that it's going to put a little bit extra pressure on the offense. We'll see. My biggest 2 or 3 takeaways for this game, for sure, number 1 for me, I mentioned it earlier, you kind of reiterated, smooth. Watching Joey out there play, it just feels smooth. It feels in command. I know that that's not a specific, play or concept or strategy or scheme but for me, again, it just speaks to something that I felt like we've missed before. So at this point, I think just how smooth it looks and feels, the amount of command that Joey has is super exciting for me, and I just cannot wait to see how he is able to grow. Please stay healthy. please stay healthy, grow, and continue to bring that team together. The other thing for me, again, it's not a flashy thing. I feel like our special teams overall have looked really good so far.
Oh yeah, we didn't even touch on that. Boo Carter comes back and threatens to take it to the house 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, super
Gotta have
exciting.
that guy. Gotta
Beautiful. Yeah, super exciting watching. Again, the kicking game, I mean, right now we're just kicking it through the end zone consistently on kickoffs, which I will take. The field goal, man.
Great job by Mac Gilbert. 53
Very, yeah, great job. I think it was a career record for him. Was that correct? Was it 53?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
52 is his previous long, and now it's 53.
And that's great. Records are great, but consistency is even greater. And he's proven to be consistent. And I'm really happy with special teams. Again, I know we've not played any SEC or really strong opponents this year, but for me, the special teams have been solid. And I'll tell you, I know the coaches of old, your Steve Spurriers, and even I think coaches like Nick Saban, those guys, preached a lot that you've got to have a solid field position game when needed. And so I think we're in good shape right now with special teams. And so that's exciting.
Yeah, Boo Carter will be taking one of the house at some point, probably in SEC play this year at least.
Can't believe, that he didn't Saturday. I was like, we're going to see it, and we could have.
I mean, all these people saying, "Oh, I'm done with Boo Carter."
Oh,
man, get over yourself and just go ahead and say that you didn't want Jawan Jennings back on the team when he got kicked off back in the day, after Bush got fired. I mean, that's ridiculous. Sure. This guy, I mean, you don't even know what happened or anything like that, like. Boo, this guy wants to play ball, clearly.
Yeah,
he's a great player, and we need this guy on the team. I mean, clearly, especially with how our defensive backfield is doing right now, depth-wise. Really talented guys out there, but again, we're down a couple guys. We need that guy, and if he can get us a tutty on special teams in a big game this year, I better see 500-word essays on why you were wrong.
That's
all over my timeline after that.
Yes.
So we'll see. We didn't really even touch on the defense, but that's also probably because it's not really much to report. Not really a whole lot to take away other than they look pretty good. I would have liked to have seen a few more forced turnovers, but they played well. Joshua Josephs is coming into his own. Mm-hmm. Everybody looks pretty solid. It's just kind of a shame we're down a few guys there, but. Yeah. They looked all right. We got out of there without any more major injuries, and that's all you could hope for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to regroup. We're going to talk Georgia. It's a big week. Game day is going to be
15 now.
I know. That's what I was going to say. Game day's coming to Knoxville. This is a big one. You and I were talking before. We could touch on the AP here. Were you surprised to see Tennessee jump 7 positions up to 15 this week? I thought we would be mid to high teens last week, just looking at the whole top 25. We didn't. We weren't. I don't really care. Frankly, I would rather stay more on the underdog side. But, yeah, number 15, what do you think?
I was surprised when we only hopped up 2 spots last week, and I was surprised when we hopped up 7 spots this week.
Right?
And
I agree.
Maybe it's just, again, college football is it's hard to even rank teams now because you just have no idea who anyone's going to be. Mississippi State beats Arizona State last night, and storms the field because Arizona State's ranked number 16, but Arizona State might lose 8 games by the end of the season. We just don't know because it's just, we know they went to the playoff last year. They were good. They were a great team. But it's just such a different era now.
It is.
And so maybe this shows, this is one of 2 things for me. This either just shows that the AP voters are beginning to buy in to what Tennessee is and what they're showing, or they're propping up Georgia for if they beat us to vault them into the top 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
They beat number 15 Tennessee.
Yeah.
Because they dropped Georgia inexplicably 2 or 3 spots here. So
I'm not sure how you can. Yeah, I'm not sure how you can drop Georgia to move them down below Miami, who played. I think it was it Cookman High School, who Miami played. I think. Anyway, come on, it's kind of silly. Yeah, Tennessee was the biggest mover, with seven spots this week. Oklahoma was up 5-13. Like you said, we don't really know who's who.
I don't know how Oklahoma only goes up 5 after that. I mean,
I know
they made Michigan look silly offensively.
Yeah,
So I don't
Michigan.
know. I don't know why we went up 7 spots after beating ETSU. I mean, that's just, again, I get it. I guess they're buying in. Maybe they're actually putting in.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I know about AP voters, though, it's that nobody actually puts in a good faith effort to rank teams correctly. So I think they probably just looked at the coaches poll, which was Tennessee was 17th in the coaches poll last week, and they probably just went, okay, yeah, just rank them. Like the coaches probably know what they're talking about. Just put them there, whatever.
I know. Yeah.
So I'll take it though. I mean, I do believe Tennessee belongs in this
fully agree
in this area. But I was a little surprised when we went up so far. But it's gonna big time matchup. Sixth ranked Georgia Bulldogs coming to Knoxville to play the 15th ranked Tennessee Volunteers. Currently, ESPN's FPI has Tennessee with a 51.5% chance of winning. How about that?
I'm not even sure what to think about that. I'm not sure what to think about that.
Georgia is favored by a touchdown. In Vegas currently.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, gosh, again, this is I'm torn about these earlier in the season, kind of big games, historically for Tennessee. It's kind of exciting though, I mean, we had a couple season openers, had a couple teams playing big games as an opener. I love that. I think it's great, because again, it's like, you hear everyone pontificating, about the polls and how people vote and think about wins and losses and quality of wins and quality of losses and all that stuff. Whatever, it's going to shake out, hopefully, as we get towards the end of the season. But I'm kind of excited. I mean, this is going to really, I think, give us a much greater look into not only who we are, but who Georgia is, and just a much better gauge of where we stand. I'm excited. I may be a little more optimistic than you based on our conversations. I'm not going to say it yet. We'll talk about it. We do a little bit of a pregame for Georgia, but I think I feel a little more rosy, a little more hopeful, a little more encouraged maybe than you.
Well, you can have hope while also accepting reality.
I know.
Accepting
I know that.
what things have been. I'm hopeful, but I mean, it's been 8 years.
I know.
And don't get me wrong, in that time, we've not had a team that talent-wise, other than 2022, we felt like that could stack up to Georgia. But that game obviously was a disaster. So
I agree.
I would agree that this week or this year feels like the year to do it. The game's going to be played, and we can't look at paper and say what's going to happen. This is going to be one of those bona fide SEC Neyland games.
Yeah.
The refs are probably going to be a nightmare.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be one of those, and I think we can do it. Georgia's the last monkey to get off our back. We've beaten Bama twice. We've beaten Florida twice. And this is the last big hurdle. So if we and not to mention, if we do this, Alabama lost, Florida lost. It's not to say that we're going to beat them,
right?
But our season starts to look like, I mean, if we beat Georgia, our season starts to look to me like undefeated. I'm not even gonna lie, because
I understand.
Not that I believe that's going to happen, because it won't.
Right.
We're going to drop one somewhere, but at least one.
Well,
but we'll see. I mean, I think I'm prepared in my heart to lose, because at the end of the day, I'm not even going to be that mad, because it's Georgia and we're in early September. So this game, we know how the playoff works. We know if we lose this game, especially if it's a close one, and we just take care of business the rest of the season, we're still getting in the playoff.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, better to lose early. Unfortunately, we know that's the truth. And but yeah, we'll see. Look, I look forward to breaking it down. So much to say, and we don't want to say too much too early, but we'll break it down here in a couple days, a few days, and Man, super exciting though. Again, love how it's setting up. This is your quintessential big SEC game. Again, game day in town. All exciting stuff. Frankly, I'm riding a high. Again, it's just ETSU, but I'm riding a high. That was a heck of a performance. Loved it. Loved getting to talk about it. I'm super excited about this season. We'll see what happens, right? So,
absolutely.
Till the next.
It's gonna be a great one. It's gonna be memorable.
Yeah. It will, for sure. Well, listen, as always, awesome fun, awesome time talking. Again, we'll connect here soon in pregame Georgia. But for now, he's Gabe and I'm Dan, and this is the Big Orange Table, and we will talk soon.